Hi guys, you're welcome to another bumper package of Android development tutorials. In this tutorial, we'll be retrieving the list of some dedicated users of GitHub using the Github API, i.e. when we have Java developers that reside in Lagos, Nigeria. You may search for different queries like Java developers or Python developers that reside in New York. We'll be using Retrofit to retrieve the network call of the user's data, which is in JSON format, and use glide to display user's profile image. The list will be populated in a Recyclerview and a detail page will be attached on each click of role item to further extend user's data and integrate share button and links to user's GitHub page. It's a full package. I will be explaining every steps in achieving this awesome application. Please follow along. I'll be heading straight to Android Studio where I'm going to create a new Android Studio project. And before I actually create this, I will actually be showing you the APIs that we'll be using. We're actually going to be using the search API right there in Chrome, the developer.github.com. We have the get search users, right out of the box from GitHub, whereby you can search for users based on their location. You can see the queries that you can actually attach to your search based on the repositories they have, based on their location, the language, and when they actually created and their followers. So you can have something of this link, you can actually generate yours. Actually generated a dynamic link whereby I have the users. There's the query. It's talking about the language which they actually code, which is Java, and the location, Lagos. So you can just edit this, probably put Python as the language and put probably New York as the location, or Russia, anywhere you feel like extracting the query. So I have this list right there in JSON format, JavaScript object notation. So I'm actually going to consume these details. I'll actually be extracting few items from there. The login, we're actually going to be extracting that. We'll be calling the avatar URL, which is like the profile image of this particular user. And we have the HTML URL, which is pointing to the GitHub page of this particular user. And that's just the 3 items that we'll be extracting from each item. So I'll be heading straight back to Android Studio. Let me continue with the structure of this particular application. I'm actually going to name it, let's name it Java developers, since the users are all writing Java. And I want to save in the Android Studio project, which is the dedicated project that houses all Java developers. Fine, project location, and let me click OK for that. Actually, take away this. So click OK. Click Next. Phone and tablet. Let's go for an empty activity. We'll have a lot to do right inside there. Our activity name, fine. I'll be doing some refactoring. Let's still maintain the basics. So from here, I'm actually going to be pointing out to some dependencies. We'll be integrating the Recyclerview. We'll be integrating the card view, Retrofit, even the convert JSON, and also we'll be calling on glide. We might use Picasso, but let's stick to just the 3: the Retrofit, glide, and Recyclerview. So I'll be heading straight to my internet. So let's go straight down to the Gradle script. Right there in the build Gradle, I'll be including the dependencies that I'll be using in this application. The first is actually going to be the support design. So compile Android support design 25.1.1. I'm going to be having another compile, which will be the Recyclerview. Android support Recyclerview version 7, 25.1.1. It's fine. I'll also be having the card view. Compile. Android support. Card view. This should be version 7, 5.1.1. I'll be having Retrofit. Compile. Can that square up? At least you should be familiar with some networking calls when you talk about Android. We have Volley, and we even have the async tags, so you can actually use some other library to get your calls, but I just prefer Retrofit. Quite easy, simple, and with very good support. Retrofit 2.1.0. This is the 2-point series. So if you're using the 1 point, please upgrade to the 2 point to Retrofit 2. Now I'm going to include square up. This I'll be calling the converter JSON. It's fine. Let's bring in glide. Github bumptech glide glide 3.7.0. So after integrating the dependency, you need to sync Gradle. So once you sync Gradle, the application will be ready and set for programming. So we'll be moving to the rest, where we'll be talking about the layout files of this particular application. So let's get to Retrofit 2. Alright, it should be Retrofit some typo. So just fix that. Try again. We should have that set. So we're actually going to be creating the layout structure. We'll be having some layout file. We have the activity main. Maintain that. Now we're going to create 2 more. We're going to have the activity detail. That's for detail page. And we have for the row, for each row user, call that row user. That's fine. We'll also be having menu, which will actually handle the share. So let's create a directory. Let's call it menu. And we'll be populating, we'll be having a menu resource file called detail. Click OK, we get to it. So back to activity main, which is the launcher UI of this particular application. So we're actually going to use the swipe refresh layout. So a pull, a swipe pull refresh will actually refresh the call. So this is very good if you are using API calls. A swipe down. This has been included in Android material design. So take it of all Android usage and let your application get top notch. So I'm actually going to use a swipe refresh layout. I'm actually going to call Android support version 4, widget, swipe, refresh layout. So I have that set. What about we'll be assigning an ID, padding left, fine. Should we let me take away all paddings? Actually don't need padding. Let me assign an ID, Android. Ooh. So ID, we're going to have swipe container that points to main activity. We're still going to include a special context. Let's take that out for now. We have the with and height match parent. That's fine. So right inside the text view, we take away the text view. We introduce the Recyclerview. Android support version 7 widget Recyclerview. Now we send an ID. Let's call that Recyclerview. Layout with an height Android. Layout width. Match parent. Android. Layout height. Also match parent. Let's call the tools show in. Which will be equals layout. It's actually going to be activity main. We call the Android background tint. Let's give it a color of slightly gray. Slash F2 F2 F2, slightly gray, and we call the context tools. Context, which will be equals. Now we're going to have a sub package called controller. Right then Java class, we'll get to talk about that later. Main activity, as well. The main activity will actually sit. So we have that closed. Now let's have a text view to actually notify us of internet connection. Match parent, the height should be wrap content. Assign an ID. Disconnected. And let's have an Android text. Add string. I won't be at coding this. It's not recommended to always add code string values. So I'll actually create string resource name, string name. So let's give it our internet. Just give it something simple. Internet connection. Let's just let's just maintain internet. It's fine. And internet. So I will actually give the text that I really want it to show. So I may say something like, no internet connection, please make sure the device connected or something. Let's say no internet connection, please make sure device is connected to the internet. Awesome. So back to the activity main. Now we call a string, which will be internet. That's fine. So write on course. After that, we're going to give a text style of bold. Text style bold. And let's give it text size 30 dB. It's fine. We're good to go. So we have the activity main set. So let's get to look at the row user, which will be for each row. What are the content that will be right inside the layout? So let's get digging. Now this should be a card view. It should be a card layout. We're going to introduce the Android support version 7 widget card view. Card view version 7. That's fine. Let's take away this rotation. Don't need this. With the night match parent, should we? I think the height we should specify something like, since the card layout can just be too big, let's give it 100 dp for the height. dp. Sorry. Okay, it's forming a sort of a card. Now let's give an Android layout margin left. Margin top, start with top, 10 dp. Android layout margin left, also 10 dp. Android layout margin right, 10 dp. It's fine. We make it clickable. Android, because we're actually going to set an on-click listener to this row. Clickable, true. And let's add focus able to it. Also true. And elevation, 60 dp. Let's add a shadow. That's the elevation. We start to add the shadow to it. And an Android foreground, so we have a foreground color, which we call the Android attribute over there, and it's going to be select table item background. So we have the set. We need the X, M, and all Android. I think we have it up there, so we don't need that. So let's move in. We should have a relative layout inside the card view. So that's actually going to depict the item that will be passing into this card. Match parent, also match parent. And image view. Layout with an height, assign 100 dp. Assign 100 dp. It's fine. That will be for the image, as the profile image. Android. Now layout margin left, 20 dp. Android layout margin right, Or let's imagine top 10 dB. Want the image to actually sit well. Android scale type fit X and Y. Let's go. So we're moving. Now we have a text view. Forgotten, we need to assign an ID. Very important, Android ID. This is where the reference is made from the Java class. So that it will just not be standing all alone. Let's call this cover. It's fine. Layout with an height of this. Let's make it wrap content. Since it's going to be a text layout. Wrap content. And what we're going to do, Android text. Since we just need this once, username, and it's not even going to show because we're actually going to populate the username from the APIs. Android layout, or to right of, we need layout to the right of. That's T. So it's actually going to be at the right, to right of the cover, which is the profile image. So you can see that moving to the right, and we assign Android layout margin left, 20 dp, margin right, let's imagine top, give it top. Let's also give that 20 dp. That's fine. And we call Android text appearance. Now please give us the Android text appearance medium. Large. Let's get large. Large. If you're large, you're in charge. I give 100, so that it's actually going to be visible on the text tab. Bold. Now we're going to copy this because we will need another field, but this time this field won't be visible, but we just need it passed right there. We'll assign an ID. Did we give this an ID? No. Let's don't forget that. Let's give an ID. ID. Give a title, or else it won't be referenced. So that's fine. Let's assign an ID to this one as well. Android ID. Let's give it GitHub link 1. That's fine. Now the link, the text should be, let's just give it GitHub link. It's actually going to be the GitHub link. You can see it's overlapping. We'll separate it down and we won't even make it visible. So it's actually going to stay Android layout below. We'll take it down. So it's actually going to be below title. You can see that. And we don't need it to be visible for the rows. We call Android visibility invisible. That's fine. We're good to go. So we have the row user set. Now we're going to have the activity detail. That's after a click on this particular item, we we should have a detail page. That's what this activity detail will be handling. So this should be a relative layout. Relative. Oh, that's fine. Take away this orientation. Layout with an height match parents. Okay with that. Let's introduce an image view, which will be for the user image. Layout with an height match parent. For the height, let's give 330 or 320. Let's do 320 dp. That's fine. I think that's okay. Let me give 310 so that we'll have some space for other things. And let's get to assign an ID. Android ID. At ID, give user image header. Now we're going to call Android fits system Windows true. And Android scale type fit X and Y. It's fine. Moving on. Should have a text view. Layout with an height, match parent, wrap content. Let's assign an ID, Android ID, header. And let's give a layout margin left, 10 dp. Android text, username, Android text alignment, center. This is like the CSS when it comes to web design, or in Android application, we talk about XML files. Android layout margin tab, 10 dp. And now we have Android, the text style, bold. We have the text size, 25 dp. And let's make it stay below Android layout, below the user image header. So it comes down. That's fine. Right on course. Introduce the text view that will populate the username. Layout with around match parent, wrap content. We should have an ID, Android ID. Let's give it username. Let's give layout Android layout margin left, 10 dp. Android layout margin tab, 3 dp. Text size, 20. And where is it going to stay? Layout below. It should be below the header. That's fine. So that's where the text sits. Now we're still going to have another text view. This time will be for the link, the GitHub link. Layout with an height, match parent, and wrap content. Now we're going to have an ID. Let's give it a GitHub link. This time not link one, link, so it's gonna be unique. Android, layout margin left, 10dp, Android text, we're gonna call GitHub profile link. Because this small application should be a lengthy one, you need to assign this to string. Text alignment, center, and let's have margin top. Just going to replicate it next time. They have the same, almost the same attributes. 10dp and textile, bold. We're going to have a text size 25, and it's actually going to sit below Android. Layout below ID username. That's fine. So now I'm going to pick up this because they should be similar. Just make some change. First of all, it's going to be the ID link, and now it sits just below GitHub link. That's fine. So it sits below here. So we're going to populate these values from the JSON objects of the item. That's fine. So we have the activity detail, the activity main, and the row users set. And ready. Let's get to give the menu of the details. We have the detail. Let's pass in the menu. We're going to put a share icon, which we need. So we're actually going to do something here quickly. We're going to, now I'm going to add something. I'm going to call on the choose contest. We need a choose contest over here. It's called choose context. This is calling the detail activity. So it's actually going to sit in a controller detail activity. Let's get to import this. That's fine. So let's give an item. Item. So for that. Android ID equals art. Of the ID. What about we give action share? It's fine. Now which icon? Android icon called drawable. A, B, C, this is out of the box from Android. I see menu, share, MTRL, alpha as a share icon, Android, title. Let's give it share. And app show as action. Always do that for this particular structure. In there. So we have that set. We have that closed. That's fine. We're through with the layouts. We get to talk about some other things. Let's look at the Java classes. Now I'm going to actually have some packages. The first package will be for API. We have a controller. We have for model. So let's get to create those sub packages right inside this package. Let me give it some kind of space. I'll get to see. I'm going to actually create those package. I'm going to have another package. So you call that API. To have another one. You call that controller. I'm going to have another one. Call that model. That's fine. So right inside the controller package, that's where the main activity will be sitting. So I can just drag in. So that will just refactor. Sits right inside the controller. So we also create the detail activity alongside the main activity. Just this way. So right then in the API, that's when I'm going to have the client and the service. When we talk about the clients, we have the client call, which we'll be using Retrofit, where we first of all set the base URL and we set the endpoint URL. So you should, if you are not familiar with Retrofit, you can just try to search for Retrofit and get the basic knowledge of Retrofit. So I'm actually going to create a new class here inside the API. I call that client and service. So these are the basic structures that we'll be needing. Even in the model, we're going to have the item and item response. So let's have that also created. In the model, we have item, which will actually be for the items, that's the get and the set methods will be passed into this particular class for each object of the JSON. Now I'm going to have for its response, item response. That's fine. And outside, which is actually going to sit in this package, come the rest studios, the Java developers, not in the sub package. We're going to have item adapter. This is the adapter of each items, and we're going to have its results. Item results. That's fine. So let me quickly go through the client and the service. So in the second part of this tutorial, I will cover all other Java classes just to make this tutorial short and appealing. Now I'm going to actually have a public as a client, static, final, a string. Well, we have the base URL. I think I told you that earlier. We have the base URL, which will actually be this. So back to your browser, if you should notice, the base URL will be https API GitHub up to this level.com. That's the base URL. We'll go back. I will pass that into this string. Close that right there. Let's have the public static retrofit an object equals to null at this point. So we need to import retrofit. Alt enter brings that in. Now let's have a method public static retrofit get client. It's fine. Now we'll test if retrofit equals to null. Now we'll pass some values into retrofit. Will be equals to instantiate with the new retrofit. The builder. Now we call the base URL. Base URL, which will actually be, let's get to look at something here. Look at the base URL. Pass that into it. We need to add converter factory. Now we call JSON converter factory to create that for us. Now we got a build. I'll close that right there. We need to return retrofit. That's fine. This is how to set the client. Now we move to the service. So in this service, we'll talk about the endpoint, which will actually be the endpoint URL. This should be an interface. Sorry. Easily change that to an interface. Now there should be a get, a post, a put, a patch, a delete. This is just how to make calls to APIs. Is that you put? Is it that you get? Is it that you're posting something, or is it that you're deleting? So let's use a get method at get to call on the endpoint URL. So now get to pick up the endpoint, which is the search uses with the query language, which should be Java, and location Lagos. Back to, let's paste this inside there. We'll make a call, but before making the full call, let's get to bring in the get. Now this is a generic, but we pass the item response class. Actually have that right inside the model. So, and we get all items method. Now we get to see what that entails right in the item response. Now we need to import retrofit. That's to call. Sorry. Alt enter to progress. That's fine. So we have the client set and the service. So from here we'll be moving to the main activity and also the detail later on, but we'll get to talk about the item and the item response, and even integrate the adapter and have the result of this. This is going to be a wonderful application. After we might have finished coding, I want you to stay by, get me glue. We'll be moving to the second part of this particular video, so don't go anywhere. Thank you very much for hanging out.